North Korea is a nuclear threat. The president's statement was absolutely, in my view, preposterous. North Korea has between 20 and 60 nuclear weapons. They have missiles that they can deliver those weapons to Japan, South Korea, Guam. This issue is just beginning to be dealt with. It has not been solved.
Oh, that's the top Democrat on the Senate Armed Services Committee, Jack Reed. His comments come as President Trump slams the critics of his summit last week with North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un. Well, in a tweet storm, the president's saying the regime is no longer a nuclear threat. Is that true? Ohio Congressman Mike Turner joins us. He serves on both the House Intelligence and the Armed Services Committee. Good to see you here in the studio, Congressman. Welcome.
Good seeing you. Thanks for having me.
Do we have anything to worry about from Kim Jong-un anymore? They have a meeting, sit down, but he's still got those ballistic missiles.
Well, what the president's accomplished is extraordinary. The North Korean regime is at the table. He's put pressure on China and North Korea, and they're at the table negotiating, and they've signed a statement saying that their commitment is denuclearization.
Do you trust him?
Well, I'm a North Korea skeptic. I've watched this for the past 10 years over 2 administrations with very little activity that has advanced the cause of security of the American public. And I think what we've seen with the Trump administration is they brought them to the table. We're currently in negotiations. Certainly their nuclear weapons program is a threat, but you have to realize how far we've come. This is a regime that used to march missiles to the launch pad and announce that they were going to threat Tokyo and Seoul and New York and Washington, D.C. And today, they're at the bargaining table.
They threatened to turn us into a sea of fire among the other threats that they had to us. But what about what North Korea can do? What should Kim Jong-un do concretely? Pull some of his weapons away from the DMZ? Start revealing a list of everything that he has? What would you like to see the North Koreans do specifically?
Well, here's the time for the Trump administration to give us the contrast between the Iran deal, which did not provide the security that the United States needs in ending a nuclear weapons program, and the North Korean opportunity. And that is to make certain that we have a verifiable denuclearization, disarmament, dismantling of weapons that deliver nuclear weapons, the systems that create them. This is an opportunity for the administration to really step up and show what it is to have a verifiable denuclearization of the North Korean Peninsula.
You talk about the Iran deal. I mean, unbelievably, the Iranian nuclear deal, Iran gets to decide whether or not the international inspectors can go into military sites. That's a huge out. Do you fear, or are you confident that the Trump administration, unlike the Obama administration, would not give the North Koreans such an excuse?
Absolutely. And I think that the administration has made it clear that they're not going to accept an agreement like the Iran deal that had an expiration date. And they're not going to allow them to continue missile programs that are clearly intended for weapons of mass destruction. These are all things that are going to have to be in a deal for the United States to believe that North Korea is really denuclearizing and, becoming a partner to the United States.
Now, the president is supposed to have that phone call at some point very soon with Kim Jong-un. What do you think the president should tell him? Should he be very specific on dealing with what he wants to see?
Well, yes, and I hope that he certainly has done that already. I mean, Secretary of State Pompeo has done an excellent job in the pre-meetings with North Korea, and I think in that he's laid the groundwork, and this administration has laid the groundwork, especially with what they've said about Iran, of what this deal has to include to ensure that it secures the safety of the American public.
And finally, how about the issue of human rights and Otto Warmbier? Why doesn't the administration demand from Kim Jong-un that Otto Warmbier's killers who tortured him, that they get prosecuted and that there can be justice in North Korea?
Well, I think you have to take a methodical approach, and you have to have things in order. I mean, the top order has to be denuclearization. Other issues are other issues to be left to negotiation. But I think the security of the United States, making certain that North Korea does not represent a nuclear threat to New York, to Washington, D.C., to the United States, is at the topmost of the priorities of this administration. It's the first administration that's been doing that, and I certainly look forward to them concluding a deal that we can all say this is a deal that has accomplished denuclearization of North Korea.
And a threat to their neighbors, South Korea and Japan, too. Congressman Mike Turner
Thank you so
of
much.
Ohio. Good to see you. Thank you. Sandra?